I teed it up earlier before. We've had Coach John Salvanis talking to us about why Labor Day is so special, and I talked about two players that were very, very influential. And I think what makes it so special about these two players are they're two guys that grew up in this area and understand the nature of this game and the importance of this game. And that's Mike Morreale, who I've been fortunate to do a game, that big Saskatchewan game. Well, it didn't turn out the way we wanted, but I had a heck of a broadcast with you as well, too. And Rob Hitchcock, who's working the sidelines today. His yeoman job on the sidelines. So, guys, thanks for joining us and talk about Labor Day.
Appreciate it, Bubs.
You know what, Rob, I'll start with you. It's simple. This is the game to win. Why?
Well, as everyone says in the past, today's really the start of the playoffs. That's how you look at it. The first couple of games, yeah, they went down 0-2. But to start this day and the atmosphere of this game and the shortened season, of course, you know, you start going down 0-3, 0-4, then you got to look at not making the playoffs. And they've had a great couple of games, and this is the start of the new season. That's what we always called it. It was mid-season for us. You know, the 8th or 9th game, usually during a regular season. Outside of a pandemic, yeah, this is the start, and the guys know this, and not just through, you know, Coach O and the rest of the coaching staff that have played this game, and they've shown them the importance of this and told them the importance of this, and a lot of these guys have played in these games, and some haven't, so they're going to figure it out pretty quick.
Mike, in a lot of these Zoom meetings all week with many of the players, and I'm going to use Simone as an example because he's a guy that's been here 7-8 years. An importance of these veteran players telling a guy like Stephen Dunbar, who's never experienced this before, that this is an important thing. You bring it, you better pull up your socks.
Yeah, I think that's, you know, one of the big things is being able to share with the guys that aren't from here or new to the league or haven't experienced, you know, this particular matchup, what to expect. And it's going to, you know, you can do it on Zoom, but once they step on that field today and get, you know, in the huddle and hear the crowd and see their opponent across from them, it's just going to be an environment that you're going to want to play well. You know, Rob and I were getting prepared for these games on a yearly basis. We knew that there was a lot of pressure. But, you know, if you win, it could be, regardless of where your season's heading, it could be a huge lift to the community as well.
Now, we are on the Ticats Audio Network, but it would be remiss that we did not look at it from the other aspect. Mike, you are in a rare situation, maybe like a Mike O'Shea, I guess would be the only guy that I could think of big-time players. You played for 12 years, 8 of them in a Ticat uniform, but 4 of them wearing the double blue. And if I remember correctly, maybe the best catch he ever had was, I don't know who threw the ball. I'm going to say Damon Allen or Michael.
Really?
And with a little one-hander, which I think everyone went, ooh, right? I mean, so from your perspective, from the Toronto perspective, what's that all about?
Well, it's crazy. You know, I had to go back on the internet to figure out, you know, how many games of the series I won because I played on both sides. So I played for 12 years, but there was 1 year in 1995 that we didn't play the Labor Day matchup. That's when the American teams were in. So from 96 on, I played in every Labor Day game. I ended up going 7 wins, 3 losses, 1 tie. You know, now I'm counting both sides here, which in Hamilton maybe not a good thing to do. But the Toronto experience is a little bit different because I don't think you have that pent-up like anger and distaste in Toronto for Hamilton as it is the other way around. And truthfully, the Labor Day matchup always takes place here at Tim Hortons Field or Everyone Stadium. So it brings with it another kind of aura about it. So yes, it is a very important game. It's one that, you know, as veterans, you tell the younger players about on that side, on the double blue side. But truthfully, nothing matches the way it feels from a Hamilton perspective.
But what's it like coming into
horrible
in your case, Everyone Stadium?
Yes.
What was that like?
It was, you know, in one way thrilling, in one way like a terrible experience for 3.5 hours because I thought, am I going to make it out of here? Never mind the game. When I get out of the locker room and have to walk through the fans, you know, I remember the 1 year where we had a packed house here in the old stadium when there was 30,000 people. And Pinball, you know, in his way, as the coach at the time with the Argos, I think it was like 2002 or 3, he made sure the captains for that game were all the ex-Ticats that had went to Hamilton. So it was myself and Jeff Johnson, a bunch of other guys, and the boos and the Morreale suck chant that I'll never forget to this day. It was part of the whole thing. I knew I was going down the street and that would mean something, but come Labor Day, it was a big, big deal.
Rob, what kind of home field advantage is that?
Well, first of all, I didn't like when Mike left here and went to Toronto. When he got booed, I was actually booing with them, which was kind of fun.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. It's the momentum that you have in this field, or I shouldn't say this field, but the Ivor Wynn days when we played. You got more of a sense of urgency when you played because the field, the fans were they were on top of you at the old Ivor Wynn. There was dugouts where, I used to run in and I used to hit some running backs and quarterbacks near the sideline, and you could actually hit them into the wall or into the dugout, and the fans would be right on you. And to get that hit or that interception or a great catch or whatever it may be, and for those fans to see that, this game, for some reason, the Hamilton fans just come up and they come to this game ready. We just came from the parking lot in they made us walk about 4 kilometers to get here. We walked in, and as soon as one guy just had a football and he yelled that he saw Mike first before I got out of the car, and he says, Mike,
Rob.
Yeah, and he throws a ball right to Mike, catches it, of course, and throws it back. Then he figured it was me. Then he throws me a ball, and I throw it back to him. And it's like, hey, that's Hitchcock and Morreale, and it's just so. It's just you can't experience it unless you're down here on the field level and looking at this. But what a great day.
Yeah, and I can imagine again just that extra little bit of emotion that it gives you, because you guys played on you guys played 12 years, I think 13 years. Somehow you ended up with the Eskimos, but that's a long story. We'll get to that.
So we don't want to get into that.
Yeah, I remember that episode. But regardless, though, at that time, though. You guys played on some really good teams, a Grey Cup winning team, but there were also some real lean years as well too. And they were tough. But yet, I look at the record, and this is the 50th anniversary of this game being played between the Tiger Cats and Argonauts. The Ticats have won 35 of them.
Yeah.
Like, that's incredible when I think about it.
It is, and just getting to your point about some really good teams and really bad teams. I don't like to say we were a bad team, because I remember the one year, I think we were 2-16, I think we were, and we lost a total of 8 or 9 games by, I think it was by 18 or 20 points, losing by a point, losing by 3. So we were in a lot of those games, and we just seemed to throw it away in the fourth quarter and just lose that, whether it be a Labor Day game or just the regular season. But those years, we were on some frustrated games that we had, that we knew that we could have won those games easily and been 9-9. We ended up 2-16, and I think the other one, I don't even know if we were 4-14, but a lot better. We were a lot better than our record showed. And I think a lot of people say, you guys had a bad team. Well, on the record we did, but in that locker room, we didn't go out there and want to lose a game on purpose ever. Like, we went out there and tried to beat these guys on every level.
And I think that's the important that you have to look at is, again, the emotional jump. And not only is it from the crowd, and I think it's a Hamilton. Because you guys are Hamilton guys. It really is a Hamilton pride thing, is it not, Mike?
Well, you can't escape it, right? When you're from here and you're born here and you grew up with what Labor Day meant to our families, when we were growing up and sitting in the stands as kids, you understand that if you lose this game, you're going to hear about it. I mean, you're going to hear about every loss, but this is the one that would either, be something you don't forget for the wrong reasons, or you don't forget for the right reasons, right? Depending on where you're at. Even in some of those lean years, if we knew we can pull off a victory on Labor Day, it didn't matter. It kind of wiped the slate clean and let these fans go home, a little bit happier. But there's nothing quite like it. We got a beautiful day today. I mean, this is football weather.
I don't think the kickers are saying that.
Well, yeah, we
Defensive guys are saying it's okay because they can throw the ball up. We'll go get a pick.
Hey, guys, we're going to take a short break again. So many more memories to talk about with number 42 and number 18. Just guys that we all hold special in our hearts. And that's Rob Hitchcock and Mike Morreale when it comes to Labor Day. And, of course, as Hamilton Tiger Cats. Short break. We're talking about their favorite games when we return.
There are a lot of things in this world that are fake. Food shouldn't be one of them. Pinty's Man Cave Rib Tips. Authentic food for real people. Crave the cave, friends. Pinty's Man Cave.
Keep it rolling. Keep it rolling. Keep it rolling. Active Green and Ross.
At Active Green and Ross, we will not be undersold. We carry a complete lineup of all-season performance light truck and SUV tires at all price ranges. All tires sold by an Active Green and Ross come with a 30-day price protection and ride satisfaction guarantee. Buy with confidence and
Keep it rolling. Active Green and Ross.
You love that summer sun, but not inside your vehicle.
Ow, hot.
Protect your seat from the heat with the WeatherTech Sunshade. So easy to put up and take down. The WeatherTech Sunshade is designed with a custom fit. Keep your vehicle cool and protect your interior from sun damage. And don't put it away in the winter. Flip it over to attract sunlight and avert frost buildup in cold weather. Find the WeatherTech Sunshade at their retail showroom, 1164 Walker's Line in Burlington, and online at weathertech.ca.
And it's a touchdown, Tiger Cats!
Tiger Cats are back at Tim Hortons Field on Friday, September 17th, taking on the Calgary Stampeders.
Stephen Dunbar Jr., touchdown, Tiger Cats!
Kickoff is at 7 p.m. Eastern, presented by CarStar. Limited single-game tickets are available. Visit ticats.ca/tickets or call 905-547-CATS to secure your seat. Cats. Stamps. September 17th, right here at Tim Hortons Field.
If you're sidelined by an unexpected injury due to an accident, we can help on the road to recovery. Findlay Personal Injury Law. Here when you need us. Learn more at findlaylaw.ca. Findlay Law, proud partners of the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
You're listening to the Labor Day Classic Pregame Show with Bubba O'Neil on the Ticats Audio Network.
That's right. You are listening to the Labor Day Classic pregame show across the Tiger Cats Audio Network. I'm Bubba O'Neil, and we're live here from Tim Hortons Field, right by the Filoni and Ange Mosca flags, and we are seeing crowds that are starting to build. The excitement is starting to build. People are giving us a wave. Why don't you stop in and say hi to us, folks? It's a big day in these parts. We're talking Labor Day. We're talking Labor Day memories with Mike Morreale and Rob Hitchcock. And let's kind of continue on a little theme here. I'm sorry that we talked about earlier, but I got to bring this back here. About a couple of those games where Mike Morreale was playing for the Boatmen. And yes, look, exactly. Your face tells it all. I know we can't see you because we're on radio here, but Rob, your face tells it all there. But and I talked about maybe one of your better catches, I think, thrown by Michael Bishop, is how we've, a nice one-hander that had the crowd in shock at Iverwin Stadium. But apparently there was another catch with someone else in coverage, because if people are forgotten, 42 over here, Rob Hitchcock was a safety and played some linebacker, if I remember correctly, too. Yes. Was there a really good catch?
Well, listen, there's lots of good catches, Bubba, as you know. There's lots, but we'll center in on a couple. The one you mentioned, was a nice one-hander. I'll give myself a little credit there from Michael Bishop. We may have lost that game, so those ones go out the window pretty quick. But I do remember winning a game here, 2003, if I'm not mistaken. Damon Allen as a quarterback. I was, of course, on the wrong side of it. But we were down just inside Hamilton territory. Damon went back, threw a ball over the middle, which is kind of where I lived, made most of my work over the middle. But he threw it down low and away. So I had to actually go down and kind of almost slide like into first base or into second base to catch it. And here comes Hitch, and I thought he's going to destroy me, which typical,
he used to do.
Which is typical of every player that ever played against Hitch. And I always knew where Rob was on the field at all times, because if you didn't, you found out in a hurry. Mm-hmm. But Damon had thrown it low and away, so as I dove, here comes Hitch like a missile, but he goes over top me. He doesn't touch me. Now, in his defense, he's going to try and say he was trying to take it easy on me. But because he didn't touch me, I make this catch, I get up, I run for a touchdown. And to this day, probably almost every time we see each other, there's a little constant reminder of the fact that, Hitch had me lined up to tee me up. Didn't happen. I took it in for 7, and I think we won that game too, which was even more exciting on my point of view. Anyways, Rob, I don't know, your experience may be a little bit different.
Well, hold on. There's 3 sides to every story, Rob.
I do have 2 versions of that too as well.
Sure you do.
It was with Mike on the one side, of course, one of the best receivers catching balls over the middle. I do have to say this. Like, there's not a lot of guys ever played the league. Ray Elgard, Rocky DiPietro, Mike Morreale, of course. These guys would make a living catching the ball in between the hash marks. And my living was was knocking guys out in between those hash marks, and guys I think knew that when they played. So this particular one, Mike was on the left side, and I thought, you know what, it's only Mike. He's not going to make it down the field. He can't run very fast. So I was concentrating more on the right side, on the strong side of the field. So
Sure
Damon took me to that side a bit with his eyes. So I kind of drifted over, and then I saw the ball thrown. So I, with my dashing speed, I cruised across. Of course, it was a great thrown ball. And Mike did, and for guys that don't play the game, I had to make a split-second decision whether to try to go for an interception, maybe get a pass interference call, hitting him low or do whatever I have to do. But he did slide underneath me, and I had that split second to say, Mike's a good friend of mine. I've known him since I was, and believe me, this was seconds, a second, and I thought, I can't take my good friend out. I'm just going to kind of just go over top of him and just brush him, and then he'd be down. Well, lo and behold, he catches it lower than I did. I did touch him, by the way. He was down on the 20. He gets up, and I did not try to take his head off because I think he was my friend. And so I jump, I slide over top of him. He gets up. I look, my Gerald Vaughn, I think, is there looking at, and Mike gets up and trots into the end zone, and we're looking at each other like, what just happened? Don Southern almost cut me that day.
Oh, Sudsy.
You got to take his head off. Yeah, he's my friend. But no.
Whatever makes you sleep at night, Rob.
Yeah, it was a great catch, a great throw.
But there were some great games now when we both played on the same side.
Yes,
there
of course. Well, and I'm going to get to that. I've said this to anyone that will listen. My favorite game between the Tiger Cats and anyone for that matter, and it ended up being Labor Day 2004. And I'm going to ring back a couple of things that might just trigger some things here. You guys came back, and it is you guys could have kicked a game-winning field goal by a left-footed kicker by the name of Stephen Baker, who came in from the Oakland Raiders. He misses a 45-yarder at the buzzer.
That's right.
You guys are forced to go to overtime. Troy Davis runs for 233.
Yep.
And another opportunity at winning in overtime. Michael Bishop is the quarterback, 3rd and 13. Incomplete. A flag on Renard Cox for pass interference. The drive continues. They hit it. Michael Bishop goes in for a quarterback sneak for a touchdown. And the game ends in a 30-30 tie. The only tie in Labor Day Argonauts and Boatman history. Memories of that game, Rob?
That was 2005?
2004.
So we weren't cut yet.
No,
we were.
Hey, you had a pick in that game.
I don't remember. I do remember the tie. I do remember the tie. And if I'm not mistaken, the year before I broke my radius and I missed the first 9 games of that season.
Yes.
And I came back Labor Day, and I wasn't supposed to come back, but I came back for that day because I knew the importance of it. I'm not sure if it was 2005 or 4. It's been so long, but I do remember that Baker missing that field goal, and one of the greatest games. From what I remember of it, unbelievable game. And of course, Bishop, how that guy was about 240 pound. He was one of the biggest quarterbacks I've ever. Reggie Slack, I think, was one of the same size guy.
Bishop had a gun.
A gun. He threw that thing 70 yards. Like, you had to be deep as a safety. But what a game that was. Mike, remember?
Yeah, you know what I remember more than anything? The awkward feeling after the game that we ended the Labor Day tie.
Yeah.
That was like still to this day, because there's only been one. That it was like, how do you tie in a Labor Day game? This is just. But Troy Davis was one of the best, still the leading rusher in Ticats history. But what he did when the ball wasn't around, I'll tell you, there was a play from that game that I'll never forget. Oh, my goodness.
I remember now.
Who's the defensive end for Toronto? Forget, his name escapes me now. All-star, perennial all-star. Troy Davis would come off the edge. And he had a way to get underneath you and coil and just explode. And he took this defensive end, it'll come to me eventually, on the chin and took him off his feet. And Troy Davis had a knack for doing that.
Like a cobra.
Oh, my goodness. I've never seen anything like it before. But those are the games you remember because of those. See, Rob and I remember the silliest parts of games.
Yeah.
I remember that. It had nothing to do with me. It had nothing to do with anything. But when you see players make some really amazing plays like that, you don't soon forget.
No, that was a special game. And I normally as a media member, I'll take in the game from the media. And I don't know for what reason, that particular game, I wanted to watch the game from the sidelines. And I'll remember how hard-hitting that was. And again, I went back and looked at this is unbelievable, folks. 408 yards of penalties in that game.
Oh, my goodness.
408. I mean, so there was a lot going on. R.J. Soward, ejected. Andre Talbot,
yes.
good Canadian boy, ejected.
Yes.
Wayne Shaw, ejected.
Did Belly get ejected
Hack?
too? Was he there
No,
yet?
Belly did not
Was
get
it
ejected.
Hack? Dave Hack there? Was he? Did
Dave
he get
Hack was in that team,
Yeah.
but that was another Labor Day. I
Okay,
remember
he got ejected on that
was
one,
another
too.
one. No,
A lot
but-
of ejections.
Yes, a lot of ejections. But but goes to show you the intensity of this game, and I'm
Yeah.
sure we're going to see that today as well.
Yeah, it's a great game to be because the idea is you don't want to let it all go on the first play, and that's usually what happens. You get bottled up here, and guys like Adriano Belli or Dave Hack, I mean, they just switch into alter egos where they are just ready to go. It's a great day. It's going to be a great day today.
The number of days since 680 or 700, close to
659.
659. So I look at this game as I watched that Winnipeg-Saskatchewan game yesterday with 30,000 fans there, and I hope it comes out. Guys come out really quick, but these two teams are relatively new to each other. There's a lot of new players on both sides, new coaching staff in Toronto. You just don't know if it's going to come out guns blazing or if they're going to feel each other out for a bit. And I feel that because the pent up for almost 660 days, I think they're going to come out swinging really, really fast and hard.
Well, and it's funny that you could in this week's Zoom calls, and it's talking to Teddy Laurent. I mean, who is one of those fierce guys in the middle, defensive tackle, and I talked to him about wanting to get an edge on an offensive lineman and the things that you do, and like I just poked the bear with that conversation, and he got right into it. He talked about, I want to send a message in the quarterback, and I guess for yourself, I mean, Rob, no different.
Yeah, for me, it was running down on that first kickoff and hitting somebody and getting the butterflies out of you, and then just making a statement. That's what you want to do as a player and everybody wants to shine on Labor Day, but you got to tail it down. You got to play as a unit, offensive, defense, and special teams. You always hear that. One guy isn't going to win the game for you, so you got to go out and just work together and do your job. And if you do your job properly and you don't try to go outside that box, you've got a good opportunity to win it on both sides of the ball. But of course, I don't think Toronto's going to do it today. I know they're a good team, but I think they're going to get smashed early.
Let's talk about some of we talk about some of the earlier in your careers, these championship Hamilton squads, and being one of the younger people on those squads, and how good those teams were.
Oh, just a good group of people, right? I think I've always believed that you win championships with the strength of your Canadians and the strength of your locker room. You don't have to love each other, but you just have to respect each other. We happen to love and respect one another. So, when we had a reunion here, when Rob's name went up on, right behind us, that day was thrilling. That's the last time, a major event probably took place here, not too far after, that was close to the end of season 2019. So that was exciting, and we always found a way to win, and we never got down on each other, and we always trusted the guy beside us. That was the impressive part. We went to the back-to-back Grey Cups. We speak about Labor Day games. I will give you – no, you didn't ask, but I'm going to share.
Sure.
Sure. My favorite Labor Day moment, besides obviously, what happened against Rob, this was doing something good in the black and gold. That's more important to me than scoring against the black and gold. So it was and this speaks to the kind of the championship mentality we had. That 1998 game, I think we ended up winning 26 to 7 or something like that. Danny Mack threw me about a 10 to 12 yard out route, and I caught the ball. And for some reason, I had 4 Argo players on me, and I had. Don't ask me why. I ended up pitching the ball to Bobby Oliver, who took it in for a touchdown. Not a planned play. Ron would have killed me if we didn't win that game.
Yeah,
but at Ronnie Lancaster. But at the same time, he trusted us. And I think that's the mentality we had. We all trusted one another enough to do things that were maybe a little bit unconventional because we knew the other guy had our back. And if it wasn't guys on offense, I knew the defense had our back. That was non-starter. So that's what I remember about those teams was just playing together so well, just loving one another.
And what I remember about, especially when Ronnie Lancaster came in with McManus and Flutie, those three came in '98 and basically turned our season around from the season that we should have won more games in 2000 or in 1997. But when those three guys came in and Ronnie came into the back, I'll never forget it. He comes to us, the veterans, and says, "Okay, guys, you guys are going to police the locker room. No coaching staff's going to come back there. You let us know what's going on back there. Who's fitting in, who's not, and please let us know." And from that point on, the rest of that year, we went on and we crushed some teams. And I'll never forget, after, you can't really do it these days, but back then in 98, 99, and 2000, we had, after a practice, we would get the rookies to go buy a couple of cases of beer on day one. They would go buy the beer. They would come in. We'd sit at Brian Timmins Stadium, and we'd sit there with about 35, 40 guys, and we'd have a couple of beers each and just sit there.
In the back of Carl Coulter's truck?
Yes.
I remember seeing some of this.
You remember that? You probably had one with us. And that's like alluded to what Mike said earlier about these championship teams. You win with guys.
To know people.
You get to know them, and the rookies. Yeah, we made them dress up in khaki pants and a golf shirt. They had to wear a towel to serve us. Like little things like that. We're just made us who we were, and that's why we went out and won games.
Let me throw you one more. We're running out of time here, and this is a special. Hey guys, this is. I know the people listening to this are loving this. I am loving this. The Tiger Cats had that special season in 2019. Sorry, go 15-3, break all kinds of records. They go to the Grey Cup and they lose. You guys had a similar situation in 97. 98. 90, yeah, and then the next year you guys won.
Yeah.
You broke all the records and your guys were outstanding. You lose to Grey Cup, I think on the final kick by McLaughlin.
Yeah.
You lose, the disappointment. But that sets up an important part, I guess, for these Tiger Cats to return with that fury.
I mean, there's nothing worse than losing a Grey Cup. You'll never forget it. That game in '98 goes through my head. I don't know how many times I've played in 3. I've been fortunate to win 2, but that one I'll never forget. And that's what started. And Rob's probably got the story about when we went to training camp in '99. But we knew we had unfinished business. So the way it ended for the Cats of 2021, how it ended in 2019, will not be forgotten by Simone and Ted Laurent and Dane and Mazzoli. And you got to use it to your advantage.
And they'll make that clear to the guys that weren't playing in that game as well. They will show the importance of that and where they, what kind of season they had at 15-3 and never been done before. And to have that and then to lose, it is still on their minds. And it'll start today, guys. It's going to start today.
And you get that feeling, folks. I mean, again, this has been a big build-up to seeing this team, I think, from a crowd standpoint. I think also from a player standpoint to show the product and how good this team is to showing the fans. And I think that's an important part too, Rob.
It is. Not only being good out there is people spend a lot of money to come watch these games here, and they know the importance. The fans know the importance, and the players know the importance. So for them to just go out and play well, win or loss, they better win because they're going to hear about it. But you're right. It's a community-based team, and I can't say enough about these fans and the players, and I'm so looking forward to today.
Well, guys, I mean, it's not over for you guys. I know, Mike, you're in an analysis. You're analyzing. You're giving your opinions. Rob, you're working the sidelines.
I'm on the sidelines today, and I've got a blue mask, and I got to get rid of the blue color. So can someone get me a black mask?
Hey, help a brother out, man. There's Fan Tuesdays. Why'd you take his?
Get rid of this blue mask, Andy.
Folks, again, Mike Morreale, Rob Hitchcock, talking Labor Day memories, their memories, and the importance of this game. So it has been an unbelievable hour, and I have been pleased and honored to host it, folks. I'm Bubba O'Neil. Thank you so much to Coach Sal, Natalie Sexton, as I said, Mike Morreale and Rob Hitchcock, 18-42 to me always, for joining me today. And again, thank you for listening to the Labor Day Classic pregame show. Coming up next, my man Louie B and Andy Fantus take over with the Tiger Cats pregame as we're just a little over an hour from kickoff. Oh, we can't get going. We can't wait to get this one going. And, of course, the 2021 Labor Day game is right here on the Tiger Cats Audio Network.